Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Big Talk. Here we got Walter Sellers, who we're going to have some discussions about the game yesterday, the Super Bowl, which was an epic game. A lot of people have some controversy over it, but we're going to discuss that because my man Walter played in the league for a few years. And then we got my training partner and business professional over here, Gerald Hunter, and he's going to add some to this discussion because he had a rocking ass Super Bowl party last night that we were all at. And then, of course, the man behind the camera, the man who puts it all together, Rashad Scott over here. Big ups to him for episode 3 of this new revision of Big Talk. So we thank you for tuning in. If you like what you hear, if you like the banter, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and leave your comments below so we know what you like, what you don't, and we can keep it rolling for you. But so I'm never played in the league. Obviously, I played up to high school, and but what I saw on there last night was I thought that Andy Reid made a brilliant adjustment at halftime, and the Eagles didn't adjust to it. I thought Jalen Hurts played amazing. I thought Patrick Mahomes played amazing. I think they showed why they're two of the best quarterbacks in the league, if not the two best quarterbacks in the league. Some people are saying, they're not ready to adopt him over Joe Burrow, but I love Jalen Hurts, so I'm saying Eagles better sign him to a big deal.
For sure. Pay that man that money.
Yeah, but so what was your view?
Yeah, I thought the game was executed as well as every game has been this season. It's been the tale of the entire season. The Eagles have had a phenomenal offense the whole time, and they did a great job of everything except for one mistake. Right, they had one fumble return for a touchdown.
Right. That
was the play that changed the game. Not into the game with the weak holding call. It was weak. It was a hold, but it was weak.
It was weak, yeah.
Nothing else. That was the one play that decided the game. And when it comes to football, it is literally all about holding on to the ball.
Yeah.
Don't turn it over. Because there was very few missed tackles. There's very few opportunities that missed. There's maybe one interception missed that probably could have had. I can't think of anything else that was there. It was a pretty clean game. Not that many penalties. There was no unsportsmanlike conduct going on. One play.
Yeah.
One play. But what was remarkable is no one gave up after that play.
Yeah.
Because the very next series, Eagles marched right down the field.
Yeah.
So I can't say that there was anything other than just that one play. I think that what was amazing to me was keeping Mahomes off the field the entire first half.
Pretty much, yeah.
And for him to come back and still throw a touchdown pass with
he scored
in 2 minutes.
4 touchdown drives in the second half.
And
that's crazy.
That was remarkable to me.
Don't you think it's like? He has the one fumble, but what about the defense? Kind of let him down a little bit, right? Because Jalen Hurts played phenomenal.
I don't know, man. I think that the offense still blanked in the third quarter.
Yeah, but as soon as they were down, they came back and ran it right back down the throats. Scored.
And then,
so if I put up 35 points for my team, if my defense is playing even pretty well, they can hold that lead. It's just.
And if my grandmother had balls, she's my grandfather. I can't. I can't fault the team.
I have never heard that.
I said it last week.
I have never heard that before.
I just can't. I'm on a team, right? There, you can't point to any one play, one player, one group of players that says it's their fault for the game. When it was, both teams licked off big plays. Both teams ran the ball hard. Both teams played as well as they could. But the difference was that one turnover.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes is like the Steph Curry of football.
Bruh. It was, honestly, I got to tell you, when he got hurt going into the half, I'm a diehard Lakers fan, right? And it was just like when that damn Paul Pierce, they carried his punk ass off the damn court.
Yeah.
And he came back in the second half and hyped him up. And I think I said it that night, right? Last night. I said, if you come back and play, one of two things are going to happen. Either the Chiefs are going to be fired up or they're going to be totally deflated.
Yeah, you're right.
And they came back and they were fired up. And they rallied around the man. And he did what he said. Listen, he's MVP of the league twice for a reason.
It's a bad man.
He got $255 million guaranteed.
Yeah, and he's got, if he plays it out there, he gets $500 million.
$500 million.
Yeah, for a billion.
There's a reason. That's what you pay him for.
Yeah. Yeah, well then how do you explain Russell Wilson getting that contract? He ain't playing like that at all.
So Russell Wilson was protected by the offense. You look at Russell Wilson and he's no different than played in Minnesota. Dante Culpepper when he had Randy Moss.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean? Great, you threw for 4,500 yards in a season, but you were throwing the ball to Randy Moss.
Right.
Well, you could literally just throw the ball in the air.
Right, he's going to get it.
And he go get it.
Right.
And that was the year he shared the co-MVP with Tom Brady.
Yeah, you're right.
So your team can protect that type of position. Very few quarterbacks are ever going to come close to what these two guys did. Right? I mean, Jalen Hurts is probably my favorite quarterback in the league now that the GOAT retired.
Yep.
And I think that his ability to run and throw the ball accurately. I mean, the dude threw the most beautiful balls.
He did. I mean, he was launching them, and they were just falling right in their hands, man.
That first touchdown.
Even that one that he threw in double coverage to Dante Smith.
Yeah.
It was
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith, right?
It hit him in the hands.
Right
in the hands.
And he waited for it. He waited for it with that coverage.
It was that protect the ball. Young players, protect the ball. Nothing else matters, protect the ball.
I can't give football advice. I stopped in high school, like I said. But all I can tell you is it applies to all sports is consistency and discipline will outweigh all the talent in the world.
That's right.
As long as you consistently go after what you're doing, and whether you're motivated or not, have the discipline to perform on a daily basis and give 100% effort all the time. And I think that's what you see with Jalen Hurts more than anything else. Is like, here's a guy who probably at times wasn't motivated, but had the discipline to do what it took to prove himself right, not someone else wrong, but himself right.
And not just that, something that was emphasized. His father was everything, bro.
Yeah.
Having his dad as a coach, as a real leader in his household makes a big difference.
Which goes to your point, even with times when he probably didn't believe in himself, his dad was believing in him.
That's right.
So he believed in his pop. So he's like, well, he ain't lying.
Exactly.
So.
And that makes a big difference.
Yeah, but on to, you had a badass party last night.
Bro. Wait till y'all see the photos from this thing. We're going to post some of those photos and videos.
I mean, we can't talk about it, right? I mean,
we
can talk about it, okay?
Yeah.
All right?
Every year I have a Super Bowl party, and it progresses every single year. Friends, family, new people, old people, and it gets bigger and bigger. This year was the biggest I've ever had it, and it became a great outcome from just answering the door to one person coming to answering the door, and there's like 6 people out there like, is this a party? So we had enough food, we had enough entertainment, and everybody got along well. So, people that you guys knew, people that you may know in the future, and so on. But, that's just my, my way of bringing everybody together. So I always have that party. And I get smashed every year because it's my birthday too for that.
Right.
So, I'll get out of control sometimes, but that's the only time I feel like I'm me when I'm there. So.
Right. So did you feel like you when you were gyrating on his wife?
Right? Trying to.
That's not on video.
We're going to edit that out.
But listen, I didn't know she was.
Kudos to you for not knocking him out.
Yeah, because I was like, man, she was sitting there and I didn't even realize she was sitting there. I was just entertaining myself. And I happened to look down. He was like, he's got this G. And I'm like, And I start sweating on the inside. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. That's your wife.
And she was like, he's not even tall enough to matter, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, shit. Okay, great things come in small packages.
Yes, sir.
But no, it was a good time, man. I had a good time.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah, it was definitely, and if we had Rashad's mac and cheese, it would have really been on point. Boy, that boy over there can throw down. But we had your lasagna. That was tripping.
Yeah.
My son came up to me and said, "What is this? Where did you get this from?" I said, "Shit, G made that." He's like, "Yo."
Fun fact, I made that in like 20 minutes. I had to rush. So,
feel free to pass that recipe over to the fellas. You know what I mean? That's pretty dope. Or that way when down the road when we ain't friends no more,
like shit, I'm gonna make cheese lasagna. He got
They're taking pictures, send it to him.
Yeah.
Made your lasagna.
Hashtag cheese lasagna.
like I'm looking at some of my clients last night that are at your party, and I'm like, yo, I mean, I'm not your coach tonight. Just go ahead and do what you're gonna do. I mean, you're the one that's got to deal with the consequences later.
Exactly.
Right? Hey, do what you. I mean, if look, I told one. I mean, if your goals don't mean that much to you, how can they mean that much to me?
And that's what I tell them every time.
Go ahead and do you.
That sounds so familiar.
That's it.
If this party and good time is going to be better by eating junk, then eat the junk.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy the junk. Don't look guilty eating the junk because you're going to eat it regardless.
Whatever makes you happy. Yeah. So, and I'm a fan of that. I'll just.
So we know.
Yeah. But I work my ass off, so I figured, even though I know that doesn't catch up to the shenanigans of eating what you're not supposed to during your prep times,
right.
Even still, it makes me happy for the moment. So.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's where we go to. Don't let what you want now make you give up what you want most.
Right?
You know what I mean? But no, I mean, unfortunately, fortunately, whatever. It was a great time. Fortunately, it was a great time. You're not in prep, fortunately.
Yeah.
And, right now we're trying to add some size, so, it ain't going to hurt you to have a cheap meal, cheap day, whatever. But, when I was talking to a client this week, one of the things, now this man comes into my office and sits here and tells me, yeah, I've been doing this for a while, and this is how I used to look versus how I look now. And I looked at it and I was like, I don't really see anything different. I can see one extra line. So, and the thing is, people say to me all the time, why don't you post more before and afters? And I've been doing more of it recently, but my standard for before and after is really high, really, really high. So, if and then people go, well, everyone doesn't have to be shredded, but when you see that kind of transformation, person lose, whether it's 30 pounds, 100 pounds, when someone loses 15, it's just not exciting for me, right? And but it doesn't make it mean that it's not something to shoot for, right? It doesn't mean that it's not something to be proud of. But when this gentleman showed me this before and after, I was like, I don't really know what I'm looking at. But so when I signed him up and I said, look, I need you to be a little bit more focused and set your expectations a little higher. Because I think that's why some folks don't do a little better, is because they don't set those expectations high enough, right?
Facts.
The worst thing you do is set your goals too low.
Yes.
I'm a product of that. I set my goals too low. Everything I wanted to accomplish in my career, I did, and then I'm like, shit, I could have done more. And but it's because I set the goals way too low. And and that's why I'm always telling people, make sure, and it's not necessarily that just with fitness, in anything, business, everything, set the goals super high, crazy high.
That's right.
So when you don't hit them, at least you're way higher than you ever thought you'd be anyway, right? So, but
Well, that's a good segue kind of to this week. Last week kind of talked about issues we have with some clients. And stuff like that.
Yeah.
This week I want to talk about one of my clients.
I was definitely doing that. Did you notice how I was doing that?
Transition, he was looping it in. We still getting our mojo, y'all. But
Yes.
My client called me on, I think, last Thursday morning. She was on an airplane, getting ready to take off. She called me crying. First of all, why are you calling me on your airplane? Second of all, why are you calling me crying?
Yeah, did they pee in her Cheerios or something? No, I'm kidding.
Walter, for the first time in my adult life, I don't need a seatbelt extender.
Cho. Word. Been there.
You know,
That's dope.
You know that, and it's stuff that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
It wasn't in my realm of knowledge, but to hear the joy that she had, and know the 115 pounds we lost over the past 10 months. You know, it's one of those things that sit with me, and this is how lucky am I to have the ability to inspire folks to change.
Facts.
You know, obviously not everybody's going to have the same physique. Not everybody struggles with the same. People have different reasons. You know, this is a relatively young lady. You know, she's 29 years old and has struggled with being obese her entire life.
Yeah.
You know, we still got some work to go, but 115 pounds in 10 months.
That's dope.
You know, no surgery, no fad diets, no crash diets, eating 6 times a day. She's a school teacher. You know, it's managing what she can manage, controlling the controllables. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you she's laser focused. You know, Walter, my coworkers are going here after school. What can I have? Is there any meal plan? No. Is that the answer? Yes. Okay. And she'll take a picture of her lunchbox with her food that she's eating while everyone else is ordering out at wherever that she's at, you know. And it's those things at those times that make the difference. You know, if everyone in your adult life, at some point during your adult life, you need to take 6 months and put your head down, don't go out, don't talk to nobody, don't do nothing, do your work out, find a purpose, and do it for 6 months. And when you look up, you'll be there.
Yeah. Do you think it has to, I think we need to do that periodically anyway, because every year you start out and say, okay, it's going to be different.
Yeah. But
unless you react or do life with purpose or with deliberately focus on what you're trying to do and trying to achieve, you'll wake up and it's 3 years later and you're in the same spot.
That's a fact.
You're in the same spot. And that's where, you know, like, that's why when people say, man, what's it like getting older? I'm like, I don't care about getting older as long as I continue to accomplish something.
Yep.
Right? Because it's when you're not accomplishing things that you just run the rat race of life, and you look up and you're like, man, I'm not, what purpose am I here for? What am I doing? Like, obviously we love our kids, and obviously we have our families, and we have those things that are ongoing. But to level up in some way, somehow, it doesn't have to be money, it doesn't have to be athletics, it can be something else, it could be spiritually in your church. Whatever it's going to be, you want to level up in life some way, somehow, to make it so that you constantly are achieving a new level, right? That's what keeps us excited. That's what keeps life, purposeful, right? Like we from the time we're young, it's like, okay, I gotta fall a bunch of times before I can walk. I gotta fall off my bike a bunch of times before I can ride a two-wheeler. I gotta learn all these things over and over, and then we get to adulthood, and it's like, okay, I'm done, and now you live for the weekend.
Exactly. Because
you don't have no purpose. Like, you're not waking up and doing life. Life is doing you.
Exactly.
Right, and that's why I'm like, you know, that's why bodybuilding and fitness is so cool, because even if you have no other purpose around you, right? Like, take you for instance, right? Like your purpose was all over the place, and we start getting ready for bodybuilding, and in that time and getting ready for bodybuilding, you're like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I got all this other stuff going on. But even though we didn't complete it this year, look at how your shop took off as a result of just being in that mindset of focus.
Right.
It refocused you to shoot for something.
Right.
You know, and that's where I think fitness can be a catalyst to so many great things.
Absolutely.
When people take hold of it.
That's right. Mindset. It changes it.
Right.
And it allows you to focus on, you know, not only just bodybuilding, but if you can do that, especially what we go through and put our bodies through,
right,
the pain, the agony, and all that, then everything else is cake. Everything else is a clear view. You can literally take your business and say, hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and make that happen. I had numerous conversations with you about my business.
So yeah.
I had numerous conversations about just life in general. But once we got down to the meat and potatoes of everything, the focus became, it made sense. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, I need to go to work and I need to get remotivated all over again. I already had my business just as motivated as I was when I first started. That same motivation and energy I put in here is going to be the same energy that I put back into my shop.
That's right.
And it started to, the ball started to roll better than it did before.
I've seen a significant change in the time since you and I have gotten close,
Yeah.
Just and it's like all these things, like, when you have your own business, and you've had it for a while, you can feel yourself hovering.
Sure.
If you don't continue to set goals, continue to set deadlines for yourself, continue to put motivated people around you, which is look at if I don't have a date or a goal or why, then why do 75% of people that come to gyms look the same? My son came in the gym one day and he said, "Man, I ain't seen a lot of these people in a couple of years, but they all look the same." Right? And the reason why is because they're not setting no goals when they come in.
That's it.
Right? Like you see us that go for shows or a photo shoot or someone gets ready. Like I trained my mom one time for my first wedding I was supposed to have. Didn't happen, but I seen this woman so motivated. We dropped 6 sizes in about 6 months.
Wow.
Right? And she was saying stuff like, "Oh my God, I was at the park and I could sit in a low chair and got up no problem."
Yeah.
Stuff we take for granted, but when you're heavier, that's just all right? So she's all pumped up, she's excited, and she's like, and then, "Oh my God, I'm carrying my luggage to the airport, not get winded." Stuff we take for granted, And she did all this, and then when I didn't get married, she was like, "All right, well, I'm just gonna fall back into my same habits, right?"
That's it.
Which, God bless her, she's a wonderful, amazing woman. Anybody that ever meets my mom says she's an amazing woman. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger remembered her from the year before, which is crazy because you know how many people that man meets, right? But when she, the next time she got motivated was for her 50th anniversary renewal of the vows.
Wow.
She got motivated. She came in here 3 days a week with one of my trainers, 3 days a week consistently for about 3 months, and got to a point where she could stand up. All she wanted to do, because my mom has MS, and all she wanted to do was be able to stand up for enough time to be able to dance to a song. And she hit that goal. And that tells you, like, if you know my mom, she loves to watch TV. Right? And she loves to talk to people. And for that small period of time, because her why was big enough, she was coming in here on a daily basis, working out with a trainer 3 days a week, consistently, didn't miss any of that time, and hit her goal. So now I got to find another goal to set for her. But my point is, the mind is powerful, man. And when you have a goal, none of the challenges that surround that goal matter.
I got a goal for you.
What?
For her to walk across the stage to put the medal for the Masters Olympia on your neck.
Oh, shit. That means I got to pay for a ticket to get to Romania.
I'm just saying. That's a goal for you, too.
The thing is, she's been paying for you all her life.
Right? No, that's
those
real.
Goals and achieving goals
That's
are the biggest
really
thing. Like,
dope,
my biggest goal, even with this, is what's getting back to bodybuilding after I had heart surgery. A lot of people don't know that, but I had open heart surgery. And going from not being able to pick up a gallon of milk, like literally, like those are the things, just like you said, we take certain things for granted. And the doctor was like, you can't carry anything more than 2 pounds. And I'm like, 2 pounds? What is that?
Clippers.
What? Yeah, but like, what is that? So, and I've always worked out until I got into my training phase when I started with you. So, that heart situation was like devastating for me, especially when the doctor was like, you should never work out again, just walk normal active exercises, things like that, but no lifting weights where you're pushing and struggling, which is very well could be true. But my biggest inspirer was C.T. Fletcher. He had his heart surgery, but he had a heart transplant. And when he had that heart transplant, I watched him cry because he couldn't do a push-up.
Yeah.
That hit me the most. I'm like, man. And then his willpower to get those push-ups after the surgery. Then he tried to run in the parking lot, and he ran, and you remember that he fell flat on his face, scarred his face up, everything. And he still had willingness to succeed and get up and do it again. So same thing with me. I had rehab, did the rehab. There was a lot of like 90-year-olds in there, and I'm looking at these people, and I'm like, man, I can't make myself stay here because this is not motivating me. It's cool that they're alive and all that stuff, but I'm 30, I'm 39 years old.
Right.
Open heart surgery, and I'm sitting here, can barely walk and move. I said I have to do something because it's making me do the same thing they're doing. And I know my drive. And that same drive, I put that into my business. I put that into my that energy into my training and everything. So, when before I started coming here, I started doing the push-ups. Did the push-ups, do like 3 or 4. I was like, ooh, being hard-headed. I'm going to do 5, 6. Go to the doctor. He tells me, what are you doing with yourself? Are you still doing the rehab? No, I quit that. I want to do my own rehab. So he was like, okay, what are you doing? I said, I'm just doing 5 to 10 push-ups a day. And he's like, you must want to die or come back in here and get another surgery. And I looked him in the face and I said, look, if I don't do anything, I'm going to die either way. So I might as well die doing something that I love doing.
What in rehab, what did they have you doing?
Just walking.
Just like very basic.
Basic walking. I was doing incline walking. I did, grip squeezing, little grip things. And every day I had to kind of check in. And then they wanted me eventually to get my heart rate up to where I do a light jog. Just so I'm not winded. But the purpose was so my lungs can work better, because they didn't want those to have pneumonia in my lungs. Because if I developed that, then my body wouldn't be able to fight back. So I just tried very hard to do, to keep up with that. But I did other things that helped get me winded to keep that going. And then when I felt like I was ready, like I said, I know my body. So if there's pain or any kind of discomfort, then of course I'm not going to continue. But it drove me here. I used to call him like, yo, I have membership there from like 1988. Can you do something about that? He was like, oh yeah, let me check on it. But of course he never did. So one day I came up, went in the room. He's like, oh yeah, I did talk to him about that.
Of course, mean
you said you did talk to them, because obviously my membership is reactivated. So ever since then, like I would talk to him about different things in life. And we became real close. Can
you clarify to the audience that when you were asking me to check on your membership, we didn't have no relationship?
We didn't have a relationship at the time.
This was a dude I saw in the mall who was like, hey, yo, man. Remember me?
Yeah.
Back in the day, if I could give you $1, if someone gave me $1 for every time somebody was like, yo, remember me? Then I'd be rich.
I would walk off to like, man, I know he doesn't remember me.
And I'd be like, okay. And then I'm like, I'm checking on this dude's membership. You know what I mean? So, but no, one very big joy in my life is being friends with you. Your charisma and your energy. You can be having the worst day and nobody would know it, because your energy and your charisma is through the roof. And sometimes. I think the beauty in our relationship is that we truly see each other, even when you're in painful moments, no one else will see it, but I'll know it, and vice versa, you know what I mean? Like you're never too big. If I call you at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're like, what's up, what's wrong? You good? And it's hard to find friends like that, like I think with the three of us, all of us would be in that, we'd be in that position for each other. And, so it's definitely been
don't be mad if you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I know.
I'm asking 3 questions. Are you dead? Are you dying? Are you going to jail? If the answer is no to all 3, I'll talk to you in the morning.
Well, one day you might want to call me at 3 in the morning and ask you the same question. It might be something that's really in your mind. So, you know what?
I'm not gonna call you 3 o'clock. I'm not calling you 3 o'clock in the morning.
My man. I'm going to call you at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Do it.
And when I call you, you're going to ask me those questions. I'm like, yeah, I'm dead. Now what?
Where you at? Where you at? I got the hammer. Where you at?
But I guarantee you, when you call Walter at 3 o'clock in the morning, he's going to answer the phone like this. Hey, man, what's going on? How's your day going? How's your day going? Everything good? You dead? No? Okay, bye.
You're right. You're right.
This dude is so chipper.
What I know is
He's so chipper.
if somebody's calling me 3 o'clock in the morning, something wrong. Somebody call you 2 o'clock in the morning, they might say nothing, but something's wrong.
Yeah.
So that's. But and the fact that someone picks up the phone to call you at that time means they trust you, and they know that whatever it is, you'll be able to help them. You know. So. Yeah,
when she called me. No, I'm kidding.
Speaking of exercises.
Speaking of cardio.
Right? So this week, our exercise of the week is the seated isolateral row.
That shit was good.
It's one of the favorite exercises that most guys at the gym who got some kind of back development, right? Because it hits everything. Lats, terries, rhomboids, traps, all the above. What Fred likes to make us do is pull it all the way in, go out halfway, then back it all the way back out. And if you ain't never experienced that for 20 reps, you ain't living life.
Yeah, that'll get a nice pump in there.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It does.
And it's not that day, it's the next day.
Yeah.
It's the next day for me that it hurts.
Well, mine, I don't, for whatever reason, mine never hurts.
Oh, God.
Unless I take, it's
Advil. It's Advil.
Not the development, but the I don't know, I got this thing going on back there that just makes me go. You know what I mean? I just feel like I.
Are you taking normally in the back or
what? Take what?
What he is trying to say
what I'm trying to say
is rhomboid, spinal erector, and his lumbar development is upper trap and mid trap development is very good. And he can walk in cold off the street and deadlift 400 plus pounds. He can walk in dead off the street and rack pull over 500 pounds at any given time. So that is one exercise he smokes me in every single time. He loves trap, doing any type of trap work, and that's hence why he's yoked under this sweatshirt. Mm-hmm. That's his thing. So everybody's got their exercise that they're good at. The seated isolated or the seated isolateral rows are great because you can position the arm movement to work the lower lats mostly. You can make them so that you're working mostly terries and rhomboids, and you can work them so that you're working mostly traps. If I do an isolateral and I pull upwards, I'm getting a lot of upper trap, a lot of mid trap. If I pull it down into my hip, that's more lat. If I pull it straight across and into my sternum, or my hands are level with my sternum, that's mostly my rhomboid area, some teres area in there, and if I overextend in the eccentric, I can even get a little bit of spinal erector work in there. So the seated isolateral row is can be done in a seated position, but you can also stand up and put one hand here and pull singular too. And that machine is allows for a lot of variations to pretty much work the entire back, and that's what's pretty cool about it.
Yep.
So
you'll see a video linked in there for that exercise.
Yeah, definitely.
An explanation, it'll be in there.
It's probably here. I don't know where he's going to put it on the screen.
But it'll be in there somewhere. You can look for it somewhere in there.
Yeah. Or maybe Rashad get creative when I go here, and move around. No. And like I said, G is great at rack pulls, which, if you're not doing those, you definitely need to implement those into your program because, a strong posterior chain just helps the body stay in total balance, right? Because most people, their psoas and hip flexor muscles are so shortened from sitting all the time. It's forcing you to extend through your hips to complete the movement. most people are internally rotated on a computer all the time, and as you lock out, why you got your face like that? Did I miss something?
No.
Okay. And your shoulders are internally rotated. It forces you to externally rotate and squeeze your scapula. So you're fixing that as well, and it's just obviously just going to build. It gives you the ability to move higher loads of weight, so you're going to build more muscle tissue and thicker, denser muscle tissues. Makes for a stronger, healthier back, which we need that every day of our life, right? Whether we're competing or just everyday life. So,
and I stand all day, so
yeah, exactly. So that's definitely important for you. So definitely try those two movements in your workout. How do you implement them repetition wise when you put them in?
So the majority, right? All of them, right? So the majority, quite honestly, of my clients, like I explained last time, are women. So we do a lot of reps. Especially the women in the age group that I focus on, that 35 to 60 age range. Women start approaching perimenopause or into their menopause and postmenopause. Studies show that adding higher reps with a medium weight is good and best for women that are in that phase of their life. We'll implement it, and I'll do, if we're working back, I'll start with the lat pull down for them, and then I'll do a dumbbell deadlift, but we'll do sort of like a rack pull except with dumbbells. So we'll go down just past the knee and then back up, right? And then finally we'll get onto a machine if there's one available. A lot of times my clients have a home gym where that may not be available, so we'll do some other variations, like we'll do a single arm row with the dumbbells, or we'll do overhead press with the dumbbells. So just different ideas to kind of hit those same muscle groups just in different ways a lot of times. But when I have guys or folks who like to work out in the gym, you better believe we hitting that machine, because like you said, we can hit it so many different ways, from a neutral grip, supine grip, whatever it is. We can hit all areas of the back.
Yeah, I feel you. I think one of the most effective ways I've seen to hit it, and to touch on your point with higher reps, I love higher reps when you're dealing with beginner to intermediate, because it allows them to really feel the muscle group you're trying to work, because by doing more repetitions, the intensity is not so high that they can't focus on what they're trying to work. Sometimes the weight can be so heavy that you're no longer feeling the muscle you're trying to work. You're just moving weight, right? And it's harder to not use momentum, or harder not to break your form. So I think the intermediate to beginners, higher reps are great, and you can still grow, because science tells you from 5 to 30, if you fail anywhere in that rep range, you can still create enough mechanical tension to create hypertrophy. So I think that's a great scheme for your clients. My clients range all the way through, and I think when we're doing deadlifts or rack deadlifts, I like to be in that rep range somewhere between the 5 to 8 range, and then I love a high rep finisher at the end, right? I love that. I've seen a lot of great results with that. And then with the when I say high rep, I mean like 15 to 20 reps on a rack deadlift. One, mentally it just tests you. Two, neurologically it helps you recruit way more muscle fibers, and it just sets you up to be even stronger the week after, if you don't totally annihilate yourself.
Right.
Come close, but not complete annihilation, just stimulation. And then with the seated isolateral row, I don't think it really matters what rep range you're in, as long as you're higher than 6, as long as you can mind muscle connect to really feel the area you're trying to work, and not just moving. I think when you're just moving, you're wasting your time, because there's so many ways to cheat on that movement. You can be getting too much leg drive. You can be doing a lot of arms. I take that back. You're not wasting your time, but you're not making the movement as efficient as possible. So I think as long as you can feel the whether you're working the rhomboids, the scapula, the upper traps, or trying to work the lats, as long as you can feel the area you're trying to work, I think any rep range 6 to 30 is fine with that one. When you do it, what rep scheme do you like when you're doing stuff? What do you feel the most? Do you get the best benefit? Any exercise, what rep range do you like?
When we do our 12, so when we do 4 sets of 12, I feel like, especially if it's moderate weight, the heavier I go, sometimes I do feel numb to where I don't feel it. It's just I'm moving the weight. But when I'm doing those reps, I feel the burn. I feel the blood flow getting in there into the muscle that I'm working. It really pretty much doesn't matter which exercise that we're doing. For the most part, where I feel it the most though, biceps and right in my quads. When they start filling up with blood and we're doing like hyperextension, or not hyperextension, leg extensions. When we're doing those, and especially when we're doing 15 to 20 reps, when we get to that, even at a decent weight, it burns. But I can feel the muscle working. If I go in there and I just bang those things out with a lot of weight, I'm just moving the weight. And, you know, I'm not really contracting the muscle like it should. Although it can be good to make it stronger, but for me, you know, I need these to get bigger. So, you know, hopefully we can get these ankles, which are my...
Look, I'm a big believer in, even in doing high reps, I still believe in doing pauses the whole time, because for some reason, women, don't be afraid to lift heavy weights. Heavy weights are good, but we'll get, you know, we'll do medium weights, maybe 20-pound dumbbells or something like that, and doing a pause rep. That pause, or that 5-second negative,
makes me anxious though.
Me. I'll count, and Walter, why do you count backwards? Because I can't count forward that high. So when Fred and I are training, want to see Fred get pissed off? I'm counting backwards. He's counting up. He's like, "What number are you on?"
Why are you even doing that? What are you doing? Or he'll say, "Don't do that when I count."
Right, exactly, right. I'm counting. Just tell me to stop. Just tell me to stop.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I think, so what about a 5x5 program? Have you done one like that for yourself?
So like 5 exercises, 5 reps, and
5 sets, 5 reps.
I have when it's super heavy. I normally don't do so for bench days. Like I just did one this weekend with bench with my guys. We started off just a couple warm up sets, maybe 185, 225 warm ups, and then 275, and then 315, 365. Right. So we built up, and I don't mind. I like going heavy, but
I think for when you're dealing with strength and trying to perform for like a powerlifter or strongman,
right,
it's very important to perform the same exercises over and over again, so you get as coordinated and as efficient at doing them as possible. It's like if I do bench press week after week after week, the 10th week I'm doing it, my body's the energy and exertion is going to have to do the same weight. It's going to be a lot less because I'm more efficient at recruiting those muscle fibers, right? Which means that theoretically I can do more, right? So that's important. But when you talk about hypertrophy, I know it's not important that you do the same movements over and over again. The body doesn't know what you're doing; it just knows the stress you're placing upon the muscle, right? So when I hear athletes talk about, well, we want to drive the same movement over and over again, and if it's working and yielding, I'm going to do the same thing, and I can keep going. And there's 2 schools of thought there. There's the thought that, well, I'm able to apply more stress because I'm applying more load. And then there's the thought, well, how important are variety and angles? Right. So, which you can build throughout your program. Me, I think I have ADD when I train. I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. Like I do find, especially if I find a movement that's really comfortable. And this is the reasoning for not really liking to look at it like that, or saying, I think that theory is a little flawed where you just find a good movement that's comfortable and you keep driving the load in it. I think that's flawed. I'm going to tell you why. When I was getting ready, after I turned pro, I fell into a rut in my training where I was kind of doing the same exercises over and over that were comfortable and felt good to me. Once I worked with a trainer that made me do different things, my body exploded with growth. Completely changed. Meaning, I was already good through my chest, and everyone has their genetic areas where they're going to be good. But my hamstrings are always a weak point. And my back thickness, my width and symmetry was always really good, but my thickness, I need to be more 3D. And once I switched those movements around from doing just a regular rack deadlift to going snatch grip, from doing just a regular RDL to doing a stiff leg, right? Like just switching those little things. They hurt, wasn't comfortable, but my body responded, right? And I think you guys can attest to that because when we train
different.
We train different.
We train different,
and
right?
that's kind of what I tell my clients, right? You know, it's everybody's program is going to be similar, but it's not going to be the same. Everybody is different, one word, because everybody, two words, are different.
Right.
So how we train is going to be different than how other folks train. We may be training for the same goal, right? But we're going to train differently because, like you said, we respond differently to our strong suits. We know that for G, you know, it's got to be, we got stresses back in a different way. And, you know, for me, it's going to be my legs, and my hamstrings. I can push harder and fight through than you know, some folks can. And so it's finding what challenges you the most, not necessarily just doing the same repetition over and over and over again. But like I said, if you're training for a powerlifting meet and you're on the big three, squat, deadlift, and bench, you better be squatting, deadlifting, benching, and tiring out those accessory muscles ahead of time and making it work.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
That's where we got that term from.
We train different.
We train different.
Hashtag
I actually got that from him though. So I stole it, made it something. And he was like, yeah, that's pretty good. He did. He used to train like, we train different. Come on, G.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, then you would do the spoon thing.
Yeah,
then
eat
you would
the
say
food.
more.
Gotta
Eat the food.
So then I said, you know what? We train different.
We train different.
We train different. And I found it.
I've been trying to do that voice for a while. I'm just going to say, yeah. So, Rashad, back behind the camera. Why do you think when G yells through the gym, we train different, there's so much negative vibe from that?
You want my real answer?
I want your real answer, sir.
So, from our point of view, sir.
Mind you, we don't care what other people think, but good.
Very attention seeking. Because at multiple people's like, I understand camaraderie, all that. That's cool and all. But goddamn, nobody want to hear that shit.
Right.
This is other people saying. I typically just ignore it. So that's what I do.
You want me to get my views on that?
I got my views too, but good.
I mean, that's just
Right.
my understanding.
Right.
Because I just don't pay you no more.
Right.
Give me your views on this thing.
So my views are, what people are afraid to do, and they see someone else do that, they often have a negative comeback with, oh, that's annoying, or oh, he's an attention seeker. But if anyone had known me prior to me even being here, personality, what about, that's his personality. What about he has charisma, regardless of who's in the room? Because if you are a comedian on stage, you're doing all this extra stuff to do what? Make people laugh. That's your niche.
That's right.
Right? So, from the YMCA when I used to train there, to even Planet Fitness when they hit the alarm on you for being too loud, it didn't matter where I was. You know, of course, management would say, hey, can you just, but it motivates the people.
That's it.
You know what I mean? And I'm a
with you.
great motivator when it comes to a lot of different things. So, if it's quiet in here when it shouldn't be, then of course we train different. And then guess what? You got, hey man, do that, we train. I got people, when I go to work and I park in my parking lot, getting out of my car, they'll drive by and like, we train different while they're driving on 896. Seriously. You know what I mean? Or they know me by, that's the we train different guy.
Yep.
No different than CT Fletcher. Cussing in every single
Facts.
one of his videos.
Facts.
And not caring about what anybody thinks.
That's it.
So, but that's his thing. Why does CT Fletcher cuss so much? Why does he yell and scream, I own you, or eat that, or it's still your motherfucking set? Whatever the case may be, guess what? It motivated 10,000, while the other 2,000 were just sitting back, doing nothing and complaining anyway, eating bonbons and shit.
That's it.
So, regardless.
SpongeBob SquarePants looking up.
But regardless, those same people, when I decide to make that We Train Different logo, are going to be the ones to buy that shirt.
Yep.
Guarantee you. Or that brand.
Well, we're gonna do that together, right?
We are.
good today.
Like, he got real worried. Like,
Today.
Shit.
wait a minute.
I need to go copyright that now.
Too late now. I already did it. I already got
But
the website and everything.
They're going to be the same. They're going to be the same. So.
No. Look at, you're like, we are.
Yeah.
Nah, I feel you. Look, it's a.
I mean, it's catchy, right? Like, I think it's true, though, because a lot of times, you know, I know we train different because a number of folks would be like, man, good luck training with Fred. I know we train different. I know it's different. And the thing is, I've trained with some of the best strength coaches in the world, whether it's Charles Poliquin, God rest his soul, John Meadows, God bless him, Charles Glass, and Paul Carter. Love him, that's like a brother. And we got all these different styles. And then Dave Nettles, who started me out. Crazy motherfucker, but I love him to death. And these aren't people that I'm just saying because we train different just to do it. Like, I've seen results with it, whether it was world championships, pro wins, like all these things that exemplify greatness. And I think that's why it annoys me sometimes when people have a comment, because accomplish something first, right, before you knock something.
That's right.
Accomplish something first. Don't be team amateur and then knock what we're doing, right? Because the thing is, these aren't things that are work for a few. These are things that have worked for thousands over decades, right? So, you know, and I love when the new guys come in and, you know, try and tell me what I should be doing, and I'm saying to myself, I can learn from everyone,
Right.
but don't tell me this doesn't work.
That's right.
Right? Because no one today looks better than the guys before us, right? Like, and as far as natural raw lifting, the numbers aren't insurmountably different than they were.
Nope.
There's records to be broken, and there's outliers and everything, but the records aren't crazy different, right? So I just think, you know, Anthony Clark was benching in a single ply with some guys doing double and denim.
Yeah.
And that was in the 90s, you know. So, and there ain't a whole lot of guys at 220 deadlifting way more than 825 pounds right now.
Ain't too many at all.
Right? Like, I mean, Johnny Jackson's still in the top 10 doing that. And Jimmy Morton was in here doing it 820 at 220 pounds when I was a teenager. So I don't see that many guys breaking that. So don't tell me all this extra stuff is necessary. I'm not saying it don't work. I'm just saying don't knock what we used to do.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So and that's where my irritation comes from. So, but I find that anytime you try and build yourself to a greater level, I've seen it. Perfect example of this is when my one of my good friends was getting ready to turn pro. Everybody is on the bandwagon, motivating him, pushing him. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. He turns pro, and all of a sudden, there's jealousy,
Of course.
and you know, resentment. And he would say to me, like, what's going on? Why are I seeing people that were pushing me and motivating me and trying to be in my corner before, looking at me saying I'm different, I'm acting different, I'm being different.
It's the same thing with everything, though, right?
And that's the way it is.
Listen.
Right? Because when you achieve something, your mindset changes.
Exactly.
Right? And you no longer down there with everyone,
You don't
with
accept the
most
same
people.
crap.
Right. So now you're being different.
That's what I tell my clients, right? From the beginning. Before, like, I put my clients, before we even work together, we talk about life, the family life, and what their support system is like. You know, and what are your friends like? What do you do for fun? If you're going out to go eat every weekend with your friends,
That shit about change.
but not just it's about the change. like I have a client whose family's from North Georgia.
Right.
Okay. They eat everything on a pig.
Right.
Everything.
Everything.
From September to December last year, or September to November for Thanksgiving, we lost probably 38 pounds together. So she went from 260 down to just about 221. And she obviously 4 sizes. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's
And she has an identical twin sister. And pick her from the airport. Oh my gosh, looks so great. Blah, 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 blah. She's going to take you to the house. You want something to eat? No, I'm good. Why are you acting different? Because I'm healthy.
Right.
Well, we made vegetables for you, but you soaked them in butter and ham hocks. I'm good on that.
Right.
Well, you acting strange. No. And she said, Walter, I had to sit in my room and cry because everyone was being so mean. And it's not for any other reason. You know, my family had to bend to how I eat. No, Mom, I'm good. And now, when I go home for Thanksgiving, I don't have to ask for anything. Walter, your stuff is on the side because we know you ain't going to eat. Mm-hmm. And that we train different applies to life, right? It's what's going to separate you from every other mediocre son of a bum out there. And you get to decide. And that's the beauty of life, is you get to decide what you're going to do. You know, figuring out how you're going to take that time, that 6 months, that 9 months, whatever it takes. You get to define who you are, what you are going to become, and how you're going to become it. Write it down, make it, give it milestones, and make it happen. By XYZ date, I'm going to do this. Next date, I'm going to do this. Next date, I'm going to do this. And you put together this podcast, coming back to where we are now. It was planning, figuring out how we're going to make it work.
Yeah.
You know, it's, don't know what time it is there, 10 o'clock here in the East Coast. So it's late. But, you know, we see a value in changing how we operate, and we see a value in changing the lives of the people who hopefully will be impacted by, you know, the content that we're able to bring. So like, subscribe, and share. But, you know, it's a, you know.
Hashtag we train different.
Hashtag we train different, right. So, I guess on this last segment, we can talk about sleep.
Well, hold on. I got. So
you got more.
Basically, like you look at that and you say a lot to break that down, but in there is ignorance.
Yeah.
Right? Because despite all this stuff out on Google, despite all this stuff out there and information that's out there at people's disposal, people still don't know what's right and what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you know, you'd be surprised how many people still drink soda and don't realize how much sugar is in soda. Right? I know because someone very close to me was just like, "Oh my God, there's that much sugar in it? I didn't know." Like, and I'm thinking in my head, like, how did you not know? But they don't know to look for it. That's not their profession, right? Like, you don't even, when you first started, how many things were you eating thinking it was fine? Simple things like Mentos.
Yeah.
Like, hey, bro, I'll just eat chicken and rice trying to make my breath smell better. I'm eating some Mentos. I'm like, you can't eat Mentos?
I would eat 24 cookies and watch Sanford and Son with milk every day.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, seriously.
And not even thinking
and
about
I'm
it.
I don't eat anything else all day besides food. I'm eating healthy, but those cookies every single day, bad.
You watch those reruns of Sanford and Son?
Every day.
You are funny.
That's how I go to sleep.
Oh. I'm laughing. That's funny.
My daughter actually, she goes to sleep today.
Because you don't
Me
have
TV,
That
bro.
UHF. You get the rabbit ears.
Well, I made sure I pay my cable bill. So I watch
Watch
the
cable,
movie.
right?
I think I'm the only dumbass out there that got every streaming network and
No,
cable.
you're not the only one.
Nah, I had
And
that.
cable. I'm like, man, what is wrong with
And then
me?
wondering with myself, like, man, why is this bill $400? And you don't even watch half this stuff
I
anyway.
don't watch even 20% of it, man. But you know what? When I sit down to finally watch TV, I want to watch what I want to watch. And I don't want to see something and go, I can't watch that.
Right?
Yeah, like that damn Sylvester Stallone series came out, and I signed up for Paramount.
Is it good? I haven't watched it.
It's amazing. It's
Tulsa
amazing.
King.
I watched the first episode.
And that Samaritan bullshit he came out with was terrible. But the Tulsa King, that was a dope show. That was a really dope show. But back to something else you had said in there. There was a point you said about her. Oh man, I lost my point, but I'll come back to it. It was really good because I think a lot of times here it is right here. A lot of times, clients that start on this endeavor of bodybuilding or just trying to be fit in general, the biggest challenge they have is believing in themselves.
That's it.
Right? Because it's hard. It's hard to change societal patterns where everything revolves around food. Right? So now, how do I enjoy myself without thinking about the food? How do I enjoy myself without figuring out like what the sacrifice you make? Like, if I'm really serious about this thing, I'm gonna do my cardio, my lifting, even if I'm on vacation. I'm gonna go on vacation and still try and make smarter choices. Like, that's being dedicated to your goal. And that's very challenging. And a lot of times you get into, that's why it's important to be around the right people majority of the time. People that are going to inspire you, people that are going to support your goal, and not try and tell you how ridiculous you're being, right? Like, true story right here. I'm 18 years old, getting ready for my first show, and I grew up an overweight kid, right? So I started to lose weight, and I remember when I was 15, my dad's like, "You better not get rid of all them heavy set clothes over there, you're gonna be back in them at some point, right?" And he wasn't even trying to be an asshole about it. It's just most people lose weight and they gain it back, right? So, and he had seen my mom go through a million fad diets when we were younger. So, in his mind, like, I don't want to have to buy you all new clothes, right? So you don't need to get rid of them. But when I go to college, I decided to do this show. We're at Easter, because every Easter we go to South Carolina to see my grandmother. Well, she's passed away now, but back then we were going to see my grandmother. And my mom's like, "Fred, he can't eat none of his my dad's name is Fred too. He can't eat none of this food. He's getting ready for a show." My dad's like, "Ain't nothing wrong with this food. If that boy don't eat this food, he don't eat." Right? And my mom's like, "That's not right." Now, to switch it to now, my dad's like, make sure I always have what I need whenever we travel. Right? He's like one of my biggest fans. And he's always supportive. But then he hadn't seen me do nothing. So you got to believe in yourself enough to make other people a believer.
That's right.
And that's the hard part in this thing, right? Like, your family is not going to understand what you're doing until you actually do it. Because it's easy to say what you're going to do, right? And your family's not going to understand. They're like, "Is this healthy? Is this normal?
Right.
Is this normal?" Right? And it's like, no, because normal sucks right now.
Yeah.
Normal
It's
is
the new normal.
out of shape.
Yeah.
That's it.
Normal is unhealthy. Normal is lethargic, and normal is not what's the word I'm looking for? Better than a go-getter, but not motivating,
Right.
not purposeful.
Exactly.
Not purposeful.
Yeah.
That's normal, right? So no, it's not normal, and and I think that's where people get messed up and lose their even a client I had who he had started dropping weight. More importantly, he was no longer using his cane, and his doctor tells him he was on too much metformin and insulin because his blood sugar levels, he wasn't eating the same crap. He was more active.
Right.
So his blood sugar levels were going too low with all the medication.
Right.
And instead of his doctor telling him, "Great job, we can get you off some of the medication," his doctor goes, "Stop what you're doing till you can get in here to see me to make sure you're doing the right thing for yourself." What the fuck? He's moving without a cane now. But what do you think? He wasn't into it long enough. He didn't believe in it strong enough. And what do you think happens? He quits.
Yeah, he quits.
He quits. And now I talked to the person who sent him here, and he's almost back to where he was.
Yeah.
Back with a cane, not moving.
When he was in here, I know who you're talking about. I gave
Yeah.
him that we train different.
Yeah.
Real
And the
loud.
man was so excited. Wait, you saying names. The guy was so excited that he was in here almost emotional every single day.
Yeah, he would talk about from A to Z.
Yeah, and I would look at him and say, "Stop crying, you're making me cry. Stop it."
Right.
We grown men in here. Stop, you're going to make me cry.
Yeah, that's the thing, though, right? It's like you said, believe in yourself.
It's hard, man.
You know the argument I have at my shop when I go in there with rice? White rice or brown rice? White rice ain't healthy for you. White rice is this. I'm like, well, you eat cheesesteak, so which one's healthy? Cheesesteak or white rice?
Bingo.
Which one's better for you?
Right, and if you actually look at the chart, glycemic index chart, white rice is really not that much
They
higher.
couldn't spell glycemic, bro.
Well, not to mention, you gotta look at other cultures that eat rice every day, all day.
Like Japanese folks.
And they live for a very long time. So I'm trying
Chinese
to figure out,
folks
again,
live to 90.
cheesesteak, pig feet, collard greens, and chicharlins, or white rice or brown rice. So, do you really want to have this discussion?
Jasmine,
You know what
black
I'm saying?
rice, husband, all of it.
Yeah, so and they would challenge that because they don't understand.
Because they don't know.
They would
Because
challenge
don't know.
even bodybuilding. They would challenge any type of physical activity besides LeBron James scoring, his goal, points that he made. But other than that, it's like you're a commentator for this. But when it comes to like real fitness, what we put ourselves through every single day, you're judgmental towards it. It's just the ignorance. Or, oh, one day I'm going to get in the gym. Or, oh, well, don't get too big. Don't get too skinny. I don't want to go to the gym because I don't want to get big. Well, you won't, depending on how you're training and what your goal is.
You won't. You won't.
I mean, it won't. It's hard work to get big.
Bruh.
Right? Like, it's not like we come in here and you train, you automatically get huge. Like, you will, obviously, if you've never trained before, you're going to see tremendous gains in the beginning with anything you do.
Right.
But getting big is not an easy task. Like, I used to say to people all the time, like, you know, they say stuff like, well, you're only like that because you're on steroids. I was like,
anytime you want to come lift.
And you know, my kids would always say, Dad, is that true? And I would just look at them and say, how often do you see Dad eat? And they're like, all the time. Every 2 hours to 2.5 hours? Like, yeah. And I'm like, when you go to your friends' houses, how often do you see their parents eat? Maybe one meal, right? So that's one big difference. Do I ever miss a day of training? Do you ever see Dad not go to the gym? They're like, no. Well, how often do your friends' parents go to the gym? Never, right? Or if they do it occasionally, maybe 3 times a week, right? So, no, that's not why. Do you see, you know, Dad drink a ton of water? Do you see Dad take his supplements like my creatine, my protein powder, stuff like that? Like, all these things to be regimented to be a different level than the average person. And they say it's because of one thing. And it's because of ignorance. They don't know. Just like they don't know what to eat. And it's crazy because you would think, like, with Google, everyone would know everything. But the reality is, it doesn't matter how much information you give somebody. Most people are still not going to use it.
That's right.
Right? Most people are still not going to use it. And it's crazy to me, right? Like, I mean, it's crazy. If I don't know something, I'm usually Googling it first thing to make sure that, you know, I can learn it. Right? Like my girl said something about, like, wanting to do option training. Like, I don't know shit about option training. But I've noticed that lately I've been listening to 15 minutes here and there just to try and understand what she's doing. You know, so, yeah, I mean, but that's a gift too. Like, wanting to learn is something most people don't really care about. They'd rather be ignorant and dispute what they think.
Exactly. It's easier.
Right.
It's easier to be against something than it is to be for something.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So, yeah, but I think, you know, move your knee, man. I can't see the list. Damn.
Why is sleep important?
Legs getting big.
Whew. No, they ain't.
My knee is.
Where your calf muscles at, bro? Do you even calf raise, bro?
I do.
Hey, man.
Why do we have to talk about
We're
this?
about empowerment of each other, not bringing each other down.
Yeah, why do we have to talk about this?
Jesus.
Why do we have to be so competitive?
Because we train different around here, that's all.
Oh, man. So, on cue, Rashad's yawning.
They can't see that.
So, Rashad, tell us something about yourself. Tell us what you saw in your clients this week.
Man, you want to talk about the...
Yeah, man. Yeah, all money ain't good money. Go ahead.
So, if you ever get into the position where you have a choice to choose the type of money you get, it is not worth getting something that's just going to cause you more headache. And I had this client, to keep it real short and simple, she's had multiple issues in the short time that we had together, but primarily this week, she had an appointment today, on Sunday that passed, 1 o'clock, and had 3 other people after her, and then I celebrated Valentine's with my girl this weekend as well, so I wasn't going to be working during that time. If I did, it was after she went to sleep. So, texted me, called me, said, hey, I missed my appointment. I'm 15 minutes, we're 15 minutes late, so 30-minute appointment. You're driving an hour. She's like, it doesn't make sense. What do you do from here? I was like, well, I got a client right after you, so just we could do check-in pics, whatever. Pretty much sends me a message later on in the day saying how my schedule doesn't make sense. It's hectic. I wouldn't expect you to schedule somebody after you. I'm like, why? It's like, you go to the doctor's office, do they not schedule people after you? It's like, you go buy a burger from McDonald's, you think motherfuckers ain't behind you buying food. So it's just like, that didn't make sense. And then she said, I can help you organize and structure your schedule better because you have way too much hecticness going on. And because if you have clients like me, I'm like, first of all, I don't want clients like you. It's like, and I'm saying to be mean, but if you can't follow simple instructions of the paper says this, eat that, then you're not listening to me. If you're not listening to me, how am I helping? Like, you're just giving me your money just to give me your money. And I'm actually trying to help people. So either you're not ready to change yet, you don't want to change, or you're truly lost. And if you're truly lost, we can actually work for something there. But it's just like you said, you can't help everybody. So
I think, the frustration there is not really that she's not following the plan.
no, she's not. I just told you sir.
Because I know you. And a lot of people don't follow the plan, but they're enjoyable to be around. And when they're enjoyable to be around, it lends you to want to work towards trying to find that reasoning to get them to go, now I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Right. But when you have one that's not following the plan and they know it all, those are the worst ones.
Yeah.
You're sitting there like, did you do X, Y, and Z? No. But I did this, and it should be working. No, what? No, what?
Perfect example. She asked me, because the same day, too, she's like, well, I was on my way to Delaware, and now I can't make it back, so what can I get on the road to account for the diet? I want to say, well, you should have just brought your food with you, but, we only been to work in 2 weeks. It's just like, I'm just going to do what I can. Like, look, you're on the road, get Chipotle, chicken and rice. I'd rather you just do that than nothing at this point. So, well, how about Five Guys? I'm like, bro, what? And she was serious. I'm like, no.
Ignorance.
Don't
She didn't know.
That's one of the hardest things, too. Walter, why don't we do crabs?
Yeah, that question.
Oh, because you weigh 290 pounds and you're 5'4".
You believe me, your core is working all the time to keep you up.
Let's. How about, listen, I get it. I know what you watch on TV. I know what you watch on internet, 5-minute abs, 6 weeks to fit. It's a lie.
Right.
The court determined it was a lie.
Yo, so when you're at a barbershop, barbershop talk, we know everything, right? What are some of the silly things you hear that you would have maybe believed before, but now that you know and you're more ingrained and have had to? I mean, like the way you looked this past fall.
You were right there.
You were right there. I mean, literally, like a little bit of fine tuning, maybe 2 more weeks of hard dieting, you were shredding. Even the glute muscles were starting to show.
Yeah,
the booty meat was starting.
The booty meat was strangling up.
They were getting that.
They were percolating.
They were feeling a little heavy. But
should have felt light.
No, they were feeling heavy.
No, like when you sit on the bench and you're like, damn, why my ass hurt?
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah,
I was sitting on the bone.
Or when you're walking around, your feet hurt because you ain't got nothing on the bottom of your feet no more.
But when you look past the mirror, you look at yourself.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, you're sitting there like,
yeah,
damn,
hurt.
how the fuck?
So,
my joints tight, like.
But so things that I hear in the barbershop that I believe that was true and now don't is what you're saying.
Like things that would make you go, why would you think that?
I mean, there's a whole lot of different stuff that I hear. Even like I said, with the rice and white rice or brown rice, or vegan or non-vegan, all these things. You got some vegans that gets way more sicker than a person who, eats regular food. So for me, I have the conversation about this vegan thing all the time. And at first, I was like, Impossible Burger, let me get that. It's better than what my diet says. Let's eat quinoa. It was just great for you. But I'm just getting skinnier and skinnier, or there's no strength behind it at all whatsoever. I stopped eating red meat before my heart surgery. So I felt like that was the blame for me having to get that surgery. Because I started breathing different right after I stopped eating that. And I ate that all my life. So could it have been the cause? Maybe. Or like I said, from birth, possible. But like things that I used to believe and things that people say, just because of ignorance and not knowing, I'll sit back and listen to it, and sometimes I'm like, man, this is worth fighting for. I'm just going to say it. And I'll correct the issue, and then I'll just tell them to look it up or whatever, and they'll look it up like, oh yeah, that does make sense, but there's always a but, right? So then I'll just stop and let it go on again. Same thing with politics, same thing with religion, anything. You know what I mean? So now you make me come out of my religion, and I'll challenge you and say things like, all right, we both grew up from the same cloth. You're saying this, and this, but when I watch you, you're walking a different path. So I'm not to judge you, but you are, right? So I'll say, Well, just name me one thing in the Bible that ever existed, or any artifact that has been found from any of the characters ever existed. And I'm like, well, see, there's this thing called faith, and then you know what I mean. But I know, everyone else knows not to be religious, but it's like I'm challenging what you're saying, even though I know you know the answer to it. But now I gotta, I'm making you think a little harder. So, like I said, I'm just receptive to everything that comes to me. And then I'll spoon it out and I'll say stuff to you that I've learned or discovered that's bullshit in the barbershop. And he'll be like, what is that? Where'd you find this information? Yeah. And I'll say, such and such said this. And he's a pretty reputable person.
Right.
And it helps me understand and know that most things that people say, no matter what profession that they are, some things are just bullshit. It's just to feed you those things just to, to get by. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I just heard so much shit. I don't know what to believe.
True story.
Hold on. I am so confused right now. Because that had nothing to do with food. But it was good.
It was good, right?
That was nothing to do with food at all.
But like
that
I said,
was good.
It's just the rice in it.
I had the rice and brown rice. Okay, cool.
Five Guys.
All right, well,
Five Guys. I ate Five Guys.
Five Guys?
I see people cheat with Five Guys on the internet. So I'm like, ooh. And he's giving me my diet, and I'm said, Fred, can I eat a burger? He was like, no. And I'll go and just eat Five Guys anyway.
Yeah, someone. Go ahead, say what you're gonna say.
It's crazy, right? It's the whole. I'm gonna try something or ask you something that's dumb. For me, if Fred says, Walter, if we in prep, go do this. I ain't gonna think about it. I'm gonna just go do it.
All right.
My friends like, Walter, why you do that? Because that's what my coach told me to do. You didn't ask me a question. For what? I don't pay him to ask him questions. I pay him to tell me what to do. They're two very different things. My clients will Walter, just do what I'm telling you to do. It'll make your life easier. You're a barber.
Yeah.
Wash your hair so you don't get lice. Well, I gotta wash my hair so you don't get lice.
Told you. Yeah. You actually inspired me with the eating a little better though, because watching you when we stayed in Ohio, we were roommates, and he brought majority of everyone brought their own food, and I actually got to see him the most because he was my roommate. I was packing all his food, eating his stuff religiously, and it inspired me. Like, damn, I got to do the same thing. And then when I seen all the other athletes doing the same thing, I was like, I really need to get on my A game. Sometimes one person telling you isn't enough because you're used to, like you're doing this all day long. You're a great coach. You do this all day long. I'm outside looking in, but then I got even more inspired when I seen everyone, these thousands of people that's in this industry doing the same exact thing. The most important thing was the diet, out of everything. Me, I'm like, I'm just gonna work out. I know my body's gonna do this. But then when I listened to what Fred was telling me to do, even down to the cardio, which I absolutely hate, but I made myself do outside cardio in the heat.
Yeah.
Things like that. And then he would say, well, don't do it past this time because your body won't respond when I tell you to go this time. I didn't understand it. I'm like, as long as I'm doing cardio, what's the difference? But then when I started to listen even more, the body started changing. All I was doing was posting ad videos and ad pictures and things like that. And he was like, you got way much more to show. Why are you just posting this? Because my stomach used to stick out all the time. So I'm most impressed with how shredded I got in all these years, opposed to just listening to what he says. You know what I mean? And then visually seeing what everybody else was doing.
Exactly.
So it was dope.
And that, like I said, you got to put yourself in the right surrounding.
That's right.
I think that's the most important thing is like making sure you have the right people around you. Because so many people can deter you. And when you're in that state of mind when it's tough, like the one thing I ask people all the time is define your why before you get started, right? Because I tell them, you're going to be motivated as hell in the beginning because you feel terrible about the way you look right now. That's why you're sitting in front of me, right? You done already went through the other fad diets, tried stuff on the internet. You're sitting in front of me because it hasn't worked, you don't like how you look, and you want to finally change. Well, you're going to change, and you're going to change pretty quick. So what's going to happen is you're going to get 5-6 weeks into it, and people start going, "Oh, you're looking good. You're looking good." And girl, you're looking good. You ain't got to keep doing that. You're looking good. And if your why is not strong enough, if you don't have a clear picture in your mind of what you want to see, you will fail.
Yep.
Because everyone's going to be telling you what a change you've made, and you're going to start believing it. And it's not even close to what you really want to hit. But because you don't have a clear idea in your mind what you want to look like, except I want to look good, you're going to get part way to the goal, and you're going to stop.
Yep.
And you're never going to see it through. So that clear, definitive view of what you want to see on a vision board in your house needs to be there. Of what you want to see, what you want to be able to do, what you want to be able to wear should all be in there. And then the last thing, that I wanted to address and say was, like, I remember, I remember I'm sitting there and I'm like going out to eat with my family at 4 weeks out from the Olympia. And everyone's like, how do you do that? How do you go out with your family to eat? And all week we're at Ocean City. And we're eating out every night. I'm watching them eat. And I had a routine. I get up before they get up. I do my cardio. When they get up, I'm making breakfast for them. We do a pool activity or something in the morning. I come back. They go and nap. I go and train. When I come back, we do our evening activity, whether it's a show or a boat cruise or something. And then we go out to eat. And I would always have save a fish meal or something for that meal, because you can get plain fish anywhere down at the beach, right? You can get plain fish. So I get plain fish and a salad. And that would be what I would eat, and make sure it fit what my coach had me doing. And that's how we did a week's vacation. Everybody goes, oh man, like, how do you do it? How do you have the discipline? How do you have the discipline? How do you have this one? And I'd be like, it just wasn't an option.
It's a choice.
It wasn't an option. Like, it didn't seem like a sacrifice to me, because I became empowered when I walked around and saw how everyone else looks and eats, and I'm looking like I'm looking. And you walk down the beach, see guys with abs, usually thinner, right? Or you see guys that are big with muscle
and belly.
They have a little body fat on them. So when you're in there looking the way like a bodybuilder looks, everybody's like,
turns
oh,
around
shit,
like, oh
shit,
shit, right?
So it's really not hard. I think the hardest time to diet, honestly, for me, is around November to January. That's the hardest time to diet.
I actually, this prep, going into the show in December, wasn't hard. Just stay away from people.
Well, you were locked in, though.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't say it wasn't doable. You were locked in. But when I used to train for Arnold, that was the hardest part, man. It's that November around Thanksgiving, because you just had in your mind, like, Thanksgiving is supposed to be a time when I'm being a glutton.
We're going to the Arnold.
Huh?
We're going to the Arnold in a couple weeks.
Yeah, about that. No.
We're going to the Arnold in a couple weeks.
But around that time, right? Yeah. So next show we should talk about, definitely talk about who's competing in different divisions and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, I hope you got anything. You good?
I'm good.
You good? You good? You good? The man behind the camera, showing you love. Appreciate you. But now, honestly, I hope you enjoyed the content today. Thank you for rocking with us. Please like and subscribe. And again, more importantly, leave comments so we know what you like, what you don't like, so we can improve it and get better week to week. For my co-hosts, and the man for the week, G, thank you, love you, peace.